Okay, welcome back. We're going to be taking a look at Denjin Makai 1, the original game made in 1993. Sadly, the problem with this game in Mame is that none of the sound actually works. Once in a while you'll hear these weird chirps in the background, which I really don't know what they're actually supposed to be. You'll notice in this game there are a lot of different characters, just like in Denjin Makai 2, which was, of course, called Guardians, as you had seen in the other video. And we're going to just start it up here. There are 6 characters available here. The character I've chosen actually is the same character as I was playing as in the second game, but for some reason she lost her blue hair in the second game and became a blonde instead, and it looks like her chest was enlarged in the second game quite a bit as well. Let's take care of these guys here. The strange thing about the controller layout going from 1 to 2 is in 1 you just had your attack button and your jump button, and some combination of directional buttons and your attack button got you your special moves. It seemed more or less randomly to me. I'm guessing it was probably certain directions you would press, and then you would get the be able to get the moves from that. Of course, compared to the second game, the moves in this game seem more fighting game-esque and less this is your super move and this is your super power type thing. Because the second game was like there was lasers and all this energy and stuff, and like just machine guns blaring and stuff. These guys are just as generic as they were in the first game. Of course, I don't know why they're called. One of them is called Sniper. It's not like he's sniping me; he's trying to punch me. But I guess that's okay if you call a guy trying to punch you Sniper. There's a magical lamp. And just like in the first game, there are some weapons in this game. It seemed like they happened a bit more often in the second game than they do in this game. And this sword is just very stiff when it comes to the controls. When I was just doing the sword there, you'll notice all she really did was like hit it up and down like a mallet or something. There's some more fat guys from the first game. Oh, that was so cool. He was on the ground and I just like bounced on him. Okay, and that's all for Denjin Makai 1. I'm going to show you the Super NES version of this game now. Okay, now we're going to be taking a look at the Super Famicom game Ghost Chaser Densei, which is more or less a console port of Denjin Makai, but with only 3 characters instead of the 6 that you saw there. The character you see here, of course, was present in the original game, but I, of course, just didn't play as her. She plays basically the same here as she did in the arcade. But as you can see, everything looks just like it did in Denjin Makai. The graphics are pretty close to the same. You know, there's going to be a little bit of a difference going from an arcade machine to a Super NES, of course. I just thought this was cool that you just destroy these, like, I think they look like slot machines to me, honestly. I always thought that was cool in beat-em-up games where you'll see an enemy in the background, they'll just jump into the foreground and start fighting you. I like how this character has this big mace in her hand, just whacks everybody with it. Let's see this guy here. I just want to see if this guy's name is actually Sniper like it was in the other game. No, at least they didn't have the name Sniper this time, because that made absolutely no sense that his name was Sniper. Take that slot machine. His name was Sniper, but he didn't actually snipe you. He just like came up and tried to beat you up. Here I'm trying to beat the hell out of the car, but it doesn't look like I can actually break it. That's the only thing I find annoying about this game, is that incessant voice that keeps telling you to go, 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 go. It's like, I know. It's okay if like you do go a little bit, but when you do it to that much of an extent, it just really gets annoying. One thing I did notice about this sewer level as compared to the arcade version is the arcade version had really detailed looking water, whereas in this arcade version, in this console version sewer level, the water, if you would call it, looks more just like the road or something. Gotta watch out for those fat guys, they'll crush you. Just like all the other games in this series, this game was only ever released in Japan for the Super Famicom. One thing that was a little annoying here was trying to jump between the planes. It wasn't straightforward to me how you jump between the planes here. It's like I had to do that spinning thing to get up on the top plane. Maybe that's only because you have to extend your jump a little bit. And just like in the second game, if your character stands still too long, like this weird fire and weird stuff goes around them. And I still was unable to figure out what that actually was for. And as I said in the first video, if you know what that was for, just let me know. I'm as curious as anyone else is. And of course, more of these Zaki and Ambush guys. Now, Ambush actually makes sense because the guys are jumping out of nowhere ambushing you, unlike Sniper. At least the female characters are a little better looking in this game. If I recall in the other game, there was this really big character who had a bunch of dogs around her. And she wasn't too fat, but she was a little fat. Now when I first saw this, I was like, I'm not searching for anything. And then this door just mysteriously opens. Okay, more guys who are just sitting around doing nothing. You'll see that in a lot of beat-em-up games where you'll come into the room and like the guys are just going on with their business and you have to actually hit them in order for them to notice that you're there. Here's our good friend Arsnail. And it's been dropped by some chains. And apparently it conversed with our female character, but of course since that's in Japanese kanji, I really can't tell you what's going on. But obviously since it's beat-em-up, we have to destroy the evil robot. Although, honestly, this fight is really annoying. I'm going to switch to Makai now, the actual title character of this game. The only thing I have to say is, his punches don't reach too far. See those little default punches he does? They don't reach really that far at all unless you get right on top of the character and start his combo. And, really, I honestly don't think he's as good as the female character who's playing as. He just seems kind of inferior in just about every way. His special moves are good if you mastered them, but yeah, the female character is definitely a bit better. And you see him trying to pull off some of that hurricane kick stuff for Double Dragon here as well. And the robot just owns him, really. I wonder if it would be really cool. I wonder if the different characters say different stuff to the robot. I wouldn't doubt it. And now just for the heck of it, I'm going to choose the third character, who's some kind of robot character. Just to show you what he looks like. He's definitely a bit better than Makai. Makai was just... his punches were just so bad, whereas this guy really can actually kick a little ass. Especially that twirling punch. Well, basically, that's Ghost Chaser Densei. Very good game. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's a fan of beat-em-up games. As you can see, the Denjin Makai games are a very cool series of anime-esque beat-em-up games. But the biggest problem is that they're only released in Japan, so they're very overlooked here in the USA. In fact, most people don't even know about them without the inventive emulation. Of course, the biggest problem with Denjin Makai 1 at the moment of this recording is that there currently isn't any sound in the game, so basically all you could do is play it without sound. The Super NES version is a very good port of that, but of course the only problem is the 3 missing characters. Otherwise, the graphics are pretty close, no console version exactly the same. Denjin Makai 2, Guardians, even takes it a bit further, adding more characters, more enemies, and even some more added superpowers. So altogether, this is a great series of beat-em-up games, and I'd recommend them to any fan of action games or beat-em-up games. This has been another Game Nexus Mame review, and I shall see you later.